Hey there, everybody. How's it going? We've got a new Rescue Signal event, and it is the first event of the half-year anniversary. I think they've got a lot of events planned for this month, and I want to go ahead and let you know that next week, when I believe the boss simulator is supposed to come out, I'm actually going to be away on holiday next week, so I won't be able to do a whole lot of YouTube content or anything like that. So if I'm a bit quiet next week when the new event comes out, it's because I'm away. I'll be back the week after that, however, and should be able to do some content for you guys on the Boss Simulator. So I am very, very excited about that new event coming out next week. But for now, we've got the Rescue Signal event. And it is very Donald Duck centric. You can see they've got the beautiful statue of Archer Donald in the middle of the square on the home screen right there. And yeah, the Rescue Signal event is all about a toy factory where they make Donald Duck related toys, I guess. And you got to go in there and you got to take down the machine that's gone crazy. Now, there are some interesting differences in this event compared to previous Rescue Signal events. So normally they would give us 3 weeks to do a Rescue Signal, and that's because they would open up the normal map for the first week, and the hard map would be locked. And so you just spend the first week farming the normal boss and getting the normal exchange shop farmed up, and then for the last 2 weeks they open up the hard map, so you go in and you farm that one. This time they've opened both of them on day one, and so you just have 2 weeks to farm everything, and so keep that in mind. You've only got 2 weeks to do all the farming, so you definitely want to make sure you're prioritizing getting in there, grabbing the free unit, which is Engineer Daisy. Definitely grab her for the bonus, because she's going to be helping you out, providing lots of bonus for your farming. Get all of her medals, because as you increase her LB levels, the more bonus you get. So definitely prioritize that. That should be your first thing, is grab the medals, and then start looking at the other things you need. Most people will go for the Justice Orbs, because that's a huge limiting material factor for a lot of people. Justice Orbs, Kindness Orbs, maybe getting the customization seeds as well if you find that you need those. But those would be the priority items. Do keep in mind that there is one set of very cheap Daisy medals in the hard shop. So don't just focus on the normal shop first. So get I think there's like 2 sets of cheap medals in the normal shop, and then there's 1 set of cheap ones in the hard shop. So what I did is I got the 2 cheap ones in the normal shop first, and then the cheap one from the hard shop, and then went back to finish doing the normal shop. And now I'm back to the hard shop doing that one. So just keep that in mind. Now, even though you've only got 2 weeks to do it, they have given us one other benefit, which is that you don't have to use just the free unit and potentially any gotcha units to get bonus. You can also get bonus from some of the other Donald Duck variants. So if you happen to have a Carnival Donald Duck, which he has been trolling me hard since day one. I've pulled so many of this guy just from like random pulls, either from the Premier Gotcha or like going for other units that I actually want, that I've accumulated several dupes of him. He's now LB4, but it's finally paying off. So at LB4, he gives me 105 bonus, which is fantastic. And also Archer Donald gets a bonus. Now, most of us probably only have him at LB0 because he's a 2-star unit. Very hard to get 2-star units to higher LB levels. But even then, that's 25% bonus, so don't forget about Archer Donald. And then, of course, we've got Engineer Daisy, who's going to be providing some bonus for us as well. Now, as a unit, Engineer Daisy is fine. She's a perfectly fine damage dealer for a newer player. If you're a newer player, definitely pick up this unit and try and max her out if you can, because she's just going to help you in general, clearing stages, doing farming stages, just dealing damage in general. So she's a fairly strong damage dealer in her own right. She's not as good as like Cinderella or Hero Genie. They just don't make them the way they used to, right? But she's fine. She's better than Eeyore. I think she's better than Pegasus. So yeah, she's a perfectly fine unit. And for a newer player, you definitely want to pick her up and max her out. But as you can see, you don't have to pull for the latest units to get a fairly decent bonus. So I'm running currently 250% bonus with the units that I have, and this is the team that I'm using to farm hard mode. Now, my My farming stage of choice is hard mode 6, hard boss level 6, because I can auto battle it. I cannot auto battle level 7, it is just too hard. I could probably manually farm it, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm just auto battling level 6 for doing my farming. And I'll really quickly just show you how this team gets it done. So I have Genie in the first slot. You could also put Daisy. Engineer Daisy in the first slot. You just want someone to do AoE damage in that first slot, so you clear out that first wave right away, and then get straight to the boss just to make things quick and easy. So let's see how this one goes in auto mode. So yeah, first wave, you just want to knock everything out in one hit. And then you just go from there. You cannot, the boss cannot be attack broken or defense broken, unfortunately, but you know, I love that animation, but you know, that's pretty typical. Like, we see that a lot. The boss will throw stun at you. The boss also puts up a shield, which is, I'm guessing 20% of its total HP. I'm not really sure. But yeah, generally at level 6, the boss's HP is still low enough that you can, you know, you can chew through it pretty quickly. So that shield isn't really all that thick, just because the base HP is so low at level 6. Once you get up to like level 10, that shield becomes a lot thicker, a lot harder to chew through. But you can see with this team, I'm getting, you know, about 1,100 medals for every run. So pretty good. So I'm perfectly happy to farm at level 6 on auto. Now, if you are having trouble with the boss's shield at like the higher levels, and you know, you're struggling, then you may want to consider picking up one of the new units. And there is one that is definitely the winner between the two. There are two units. There's Engineer Donald and there's Factory Leader Scrooge McDuck. I love Scrooge just in general as a character, but I think Engineer Donald is the clear winner between the two. I will say, I'll just note really quickly that Ursula and Ariel are not in the Premier Gacha yet. My guess is it's going to work very similar to Adventurer Mickey, where they're just going to add them in the next time we get a new chapter update, which may be 2 months from now. Who knows? It took them 2 months to add Adventurer Mickey to the Premier pool. So I think what we've learned is that they'll just add them whenever they feel like adding them, and that's it, right? Now, back to the units at hand. So the banner units, I would say Engineer Donald Duck is definitely the clear winner. He is a very, very strong damage dealer. I haven't actually put him in my DPS spreadsheet yet. I need to do that at some point today. But just looking at the modifiers alone, he is easily a top three DPS. Top 3 damage dealer. So if you are struggling for damage dealers in your roster, definitely look at picking this unit up. He's very, very strong. You will not be sad that you pulled this unit. And what I really like about this unit is that he starts with immense damage. Immense damage is the highest modifier that DPS units have in the game currently, and he starts with that at LB0. And so even if you pull him and you get really unlucky and you only get like a pity copy of him, he's still dealing immense damage at LB0, which is really, really nice. He also has that shield breaker or the shield striker, which, you know, could be helpful for the current event if you're really struggling in this current event. We don't know how often shields are going to make an appearance in the future. We just can't tell the future like that. So I don't know how often this sort of unique striker is going to be relevant. But I mean, who knows? When it is relevant, it's relevant, right? It's kind of the same with color strikers. Like, color strikers aren't always relevant. Some bosses don't even have color weaknesses, and then other bosses, you know, you may not have the right corresponding color striker. When you do, it's great. When you don't, it's like, well, whatever. I'm still going to use my favorite DPS unit, even if the striker doesn't match, because they still deal a crap ton of damage. This is one of those units, right? What I also love about him is that his EX skill means he has a really high free damage potential, because all he needs to deal damage on his EX skill is HP regen at level 2 and damage reduction at level 2, which are two very easy buffs to get. It doesn't require him using his skill. He doesn't have to do a normal attack. He doesn't have to have a certain HP level. He just needs these two buffs, which is really, really nice. And these two buffs are easily you know, you can easily get these buffs from some very, very common buffers that we have in the game. Obviously, if you have Ursula, boom, Ursula takes care of both of these in one skill. So if you have Ursula, you definitely want to look at getting Engineer Donald because they go beautifully together. You can also get this by using like Genie and Honey Farm Poo. They make a great combo that a lot of people like to use anyways, just because they're like the defensive duo. You could also bring like Genie and Stitch, and Stitch also makes a good pairing because at LB1 he gets crit power up, and that of course goes up to crit power up level 2 when you get him to LB2. Now crit power up by itself is just kind of meh. Because unless you have crit chance to go with it, you're not going to be landing that many critical hits. However, if you bring Genie for the damage reduction, you bring Stitch for the HP regen and the crit chance buff, then you kind of have all your bases covered in that sense, because then you've got the crit chance to go with the crit power up, HP regen, damage reduction to activate the EX skill. So all this just to say that Donald is a very flexible damage dealer. He can fit into a lot of different team compositions, and he's very, very strong. So just as a general DPS unit, you will not be sad to have picked up this unit. He's very, very strong. Do keep in mind that he is limited though, so he's not going to go in the pool later on. He'll only come around every once in a while when they do like limited reruns. So you definitely want to try and pull as many copies as you can of him if you are interested in picking him up. But really, I would stress only pick him up if you're lacking in strong damage dealers. I always recommend looking at your buffers first. But if you have some good buffers already and you're looking to complement them with some good damage dealers, Engineer Donald is a really good one to pick up. Me personally, I'm not going to pick him up just because I already have all the other top tier damage dealers in my roster, so I don't really need him. But I do have 30,000 crystals, so I've honestly considered it, and I may still, but not today. I'm not going to pull him today. I have no intention. I've already beaten level 10 of the boss, so I don't really need him for that. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. Scrooge. All right, we've got Scrooge, Factory Leader Scrooge. Really interesting unit. Let's take a look at him. So he brings the shield mechanic, which is kind of like an HP barrier. If you played FFBE like I did, you probably remember HP barriers, which were kind of interesting. And this acts like an HP barrier. So basically adds an extra 20% of your max HP onto your unit, which gets eaten before your normal HP does. So it's basically an HP barrier that has to be destroyed before you actually start taking damage. Now, at first glance, you look at that, it costs 50 SP to add a 20% HP shield to your party. That SP cost to me just seems ridiculous. Now, if you can get them to LB3, it reduces it to 40, which is maybe bearable. And then if you can get like an SP reduction, 20% seed on him, that becomes 30. But that's a lot. That's a lot to ask, right? He does get some HP regen in his kit too, so you could potentially pair him. If you throw like Scrooge and Genie on a party with Engineer Donald, I could see them like I can see what they're going for, trying to create that synergy between the units. I will say that his shield skill aside, he is the best SP battery in the game. If you look at his EX skill, that's a 30% SP gen just by being under 4 buff effects and defending. So kind of like Marie, like 1-star Marie, right? So hers is only 20%. His is 30%. He does have to be under 4 buffs while defending, but just that alone makes him an outstanding SP battery. Best SP battery in the game, hands down. However, that shield, the cost of that shield means you basically would need to do his EX skill. You need to proc his EX skill twice in order to, come out ahead on the cost, right? So just keep that in mind, that he basically has to proc his own EX skill twice just to pay for his own skill. Yeah. Now, obviously, you know, if you did get him and you want to use him as an SP battery, you're going to use the SP gain up on EX skill activation to dramatically increase that SP gain on him. But yeah, I honestly, I cannot really recommend pulling for him. I'm going to say if you want one of these 2 units, Engineer Donald is definitely the better of the 2. I just don't think HP shields are all that necessary right now as a buff, and that SP cost is just really, I don't know. Yeah, I can't justify it personally. So, you know, pull for him if you really want him. Like, if you're a huge fan of Scrooge McDuck, pull for him, go for it. Don't let me stop you. But I can't recommend it on like an F2P budget. So between the 2, if you're an F2P and but you want to spend some crystals on one of these 2 units, definitely go for Engineer Donald. He's the better unit between the 2, just in my personal opinion. All right. Yeah, so that's about all I wanted to do on this video. I just wanted to cover the rescue signal event. I wanted to cover the banner units. I will do a separate video actually covering my level 10 clear of the rescue signal boss. I have done it. I put up a YouTube short just showing you the team that I used to beat the boss at level 10 for the first time, and I will run that team again in a longer video, just kind of like explaining how I got through it. But yeah, anyways, that's all I wanted to cover for you guys. Don't forget to check out the DPRPG Compendium, where I have updated these units in the Compendium on the tier list and with their reviews, so feel free to check that out. I will put a link in the comments, a link in the description below. All right, so thank you guys for following me, and I will see you on the other side.